You think you found your soulmate. They say all the right things, make you feel like you're the only person in the world, and every second with them feels electric. But this isn't love. It's the beginning of your undoing. This is love bombing, and it's not affection. It's a calculated ambush. They overwhelm you with attention, grand gestures, compliments so intense they feel like a dream. You're swept off your feet, and before you realize it, you're dependent on their validation. That's exactly where they want you. The moment they sense they've got you, the warmth fades. The same person who once said you were their world now starts to pick you apart. You'll try to hold on to the memory of who they were in the beginning, not realizing that version of them never existed. The confusion starts to mount. You begin to feel addicted to their approval and terrified of their rejection. They control when the sun rises and sets in your world, and they do it all under the illusion of affection. You lose sleep thinking of ways to please them, wondering what you did wrong to make the compliment stop. Your self-esteem is no longer yours, it's in their hands. They make you feel like you're the center of their universe, but that illusion vanishes the moment you begin to ask questions. Try to set a boundary, and they act like you're betraying them. Disagree with them, and you're suddenly cold, distant, ungrateful. Love bombing isn't about you, it's about control. It's the sugar that coats the poison. It's not real affection, it's an investment, and the return they want is your obedience. Once they sense that you're hooked, they start to withdraw the kindness and replace it with manipulation. Now you're left chasing that initial high, like an addict looking for the first hit. But they're not done. They move to the next phase, and you don't even realize it's happening. The game changes. They don't need to flatter you anymore. Now, they need you to doubt yourself. Gaslighting begins so subtly you think you're imagining it. You misplace your keys, and they say, you always forget things. Maybe you're just stressed. You mention a conversation from last week, and they swear it never happened. You must be confused. That's not what I said. At first, you try to laugh it off. You even start blaming yourself. But it escalates. Soon, they're questioning your sanity. You're paranoid. You're making things up. You can't even trust your own memory. And worst of all, you start to believe them. Your world becomes uncertain. You second-guess your thoughts, your instincts, your reality. You stop trusting yourself and start depending on them to tell you what's real. This isn't miscommunication, it's psychological warfare. And the more confused you are, the more power they hold. You become afraid to speak up because you're not sure if you're overreacting. That confusion becomes a cage, a silent, invisible prison. And the key is held by the person you once believed loved you. This isn't love. This is control. This is manipulation disguised as care. And by the time you realize what's happening, you're already doubting whether your pain is even real. That's the trick, to make you lose your voice so they can speak for you. You think it's bad now? Wait until they pit you against the people you love. That's triangulation, the silent war they start, using you as the battleground. They don't isolate you by force. They use whispers, comparisons, and subtle digs. They mention their ex, how calm she was, how she never argued. They say your best friend thinks you're overreacting. They smile while planting doubts in your mind. You start wondering, do people really think I'm too much? Am I the problem? They want you to feel paranoid, alone, outnumbered. You're not just trying to prove your worth to them anymore. You're competing with people who may not even know they are part of the game. It's a psychological cage match, and the narcissist is the only referee. One day, they love you more than anyone. The next day, they're telling you how much better someone else treats them. You're always being compared, always being judged. But it's not about those other people, it's about control. By turning you against your support system, they make sure you have nowhere to run but back to them. And when you finally try to talk about how you feel, you hit a wall. The silent treatment, the coldest trick of them all. You call, you text, nothing, not a word. You walk into the room and they look right through you. You ask what's wrong and they shrug or walk away. This isn't a fight. This is a punishment. You're being frozen out for daring to feel something they didn't approve of. And the silence, it screams louder than any words ever could. You apologize, even if you did nothing wrong. You beg for their attention, just to hear their voice again. And when they finally speak, you feel relief, as if silence was a pain you needed permission to end. They've trained you to equate neglect with love, absence with intimacy. They withhold communication like it's a privilege you have to earn. And all the while, they sit back and watch you unravel, desperate for a connection they've made conditional. You start walking on eggshells, afraid to speak, afraid to breathe the wrong way. And that's exactly where they want you. Submissive, silenced, shattered. It's not just abuse, it's dominance masquerading as relationship dynamics. It's a chess game where you're always one move away from checkmate. You're so selfish. You only think about yourself. Funny thing is, that's exactly what they're doing. But they'll make you believe it's you. That's projection, one of the nastiest tricks in their arsenal. Whatever dark trait lives inside them, they'll slap it onto you like a sticker. They cheat. You're accused of being unfaithful. They lie. Suddenly you're dishonest. They feel insecure, and now you're the one with issues. The goal? Deflection. If you're constantly defending yourself, you won't notice what they're actually doing. Projection flips reality upside down. It confuses your sense of identity. You start thinking, maybe I'm toxic. Maybe I'm hard to love. It's not true, but truth doesn't matter to them. Control does. And if making you the villain helps them keep their mask on, so be it. They will twist every confrontation, every argument, into an attack on your character. Even your pain becomes a weapon they use against you. Just when you start realizing the truth, they switch gears. They don't just lie to your face, they lie about you to everyone else. That's the smear campaign. It starts subtly. I love them, but they're not the same anymore. Or, they've been acting really unstable lately. They paint themselves as the wounded saint and you as the unstable partner. They speak in half-truths, coded in concern. They play the victim so convincingly, even your friends start doubting you. You lose allies without even knowing why. People pull away. They stop calling. They act distant. And you feel alone, wondering what you did wrong. The truth? You did nothing. You were just outplayed in a social game you didn't know was happening. The narcissist poisoned the well. They took away your support system, not just so they could isolate you, but so they could be the only voice in your life. And when you're finally broken, when you've had enough and start to walk away, they come back. Not in rage, but in sweetness. That's hoovering, named after the vacuum cleaner. They suck you back in. I miss you. I've changed. I can't live without you. They say everything you've been aching to hear. They cry. They apologize. They promise therapy. They promise change. But it's a performance. The act ends the moment you come back. Hoovering isn't about healing. It's about access, control, possession. You're not a person to them. You're a supply. And if they sense you slipping away, they'll do anything to get you back. But once you're back in their grip, the abuse continues, often worse than before. Because now they know what it takes to break you. And they'll use it faster next time. You want to know the most terrifying part? The fact that this cycle isn't chaos to them. It's a strategy. Every compliment, every insult, every silence, it's all by design. A carefully orchestrated performance meant to control your mind, your heart, and your identity. Narcissists aren't chaotic because they're out of control. They're chaotic because it keeps you off balance. It keeps you questioning. And the more you question, the more they answer for you. They make you forget who you were before you met them. You stop recognizing your own voice. You become smaller, quieter, more afraid. And they become bolder, louder, more powerful. But here's the truth. Their power only exists because of your empathy. Because you care. Because you love deeply. And they use that against you. They take your greatest strength, your compassion, and twist it into a weakness. But it's not weakness. And it's not too late. Because even if you've been torn down, you can rebuild. Even if you've been silenced, you can speak. Even if they made you feel worthless, you still hold value. You were never broken. You were broken down. And that means you can rise again. With knowledge. With boundaries. With clarity. Don't chase closure. Don't wait for apologies. Don't explain yourself to those who never saw your worth. You're not here to be understood by people committed to misunderstanding you. You're here to heal, to grow, to reclaim your identity, to rewrite the story. And if you're watching this and you recognize these signs, not just in someone else, but in yourself, it's not too late. Narcissism thrives in denial, but healing begins with awareness. If you've hurt people this way, manipulated, controlled, devalued, look in the mirror and ask yourself, why? What are you hiding from? What part of you feels unworthy without control? It's not about shame. It's about responsibility. Real power isn't in domination. It's in vulnerability, empathy, and truth. And to those still recovering, know this: it wasn't your fault. You didn't deserve the cruelty. You weren't weak for staying or broken for falling apart. You were targeted, conditioned, and deceived. And now you're healing. Day by day, step by step. Let this be your reminder. Their tactics were powerful, but your spirit is stronger. You are not what they said you were. You are not the version of yourself they tried to create. You are real. You are whole. And you are free.